Okay, thank you everyone for being here at our second virtual town hall meeting this week to discuss the proposal of a balanced calendar for Peoria Public Schools. And that's for the proposals for the 2022-2023 school year, starting in that school year. So I wanted to thank everyone for tuning in today. And for tonight's town hall meeting, we will be going through questions we received from our own PPS staff members. And so we really just wanted to get in to all the specifics, all the things that they want to kind of learn more about or hear more about, or if they hadn't heard anything yet, just to enlighten them a little bit, based off of what the Balanced Calendar Committee has worked through so far in the last couple months. I am Thomas Brook. I'm the Director of Communications, and I'll be kind of moderating tonight. And I'm also joined by Dr. Wilson and Josh Collins, who are the co-leads of the Balanced Calendar Impact Committee for the district. So thank you for being here, both of you. So to get us started, I wanted to have Dr. Wilson just briefly go over where we've been so far in this process in the last couple months, and then kind of summarize so basically where we've been, where we're at currently, and where we're going in the next couple weeks. Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Okay, absolutely. So this all started with the superintendent's charge. And so as we think about looking for a way to intensely support our students' social, emotional, and academic needs, Dr. Karat provided a charge for our district, as I said, and this was her charge. The Balanced Calendar Committee will revisit the feasibility of providing a balanced calendar schedule starting with the 2022-23 school year to address COVID-19 learning loss and to accelerate learning. So that charge was developed in November, and so December 3rd, the court committee got busy and really mapped out a framework and a plan of action for how we would take on the task of really gathering stakeholder input for a balanced calendar option. So we had 3 committees, and the first committee was a core committee, and that's made up of Peoria Public School administrators, principals, and district office administrators that just kind of mapped out the plan and the framework and the timeline. Then we also have an impact committee, and that is representatives from stakeholder groups, from unions within our district, administrators, but also a lot of community stakeholders from a variety of places. And then we also have subcommittees. And what we first wanted to gather is, what are the barriers? What are the impacts? What are the questions? Is this even feasible for us to consider it? So we were looking for different ideas and different feedback from a variety of stakeholders to determine what might get in the way of this. And so we came up with, and after our gathering, we had 120 different statements and concerns and questions. We put those into categories, and the categories were the building and grounds, so we put the questions and thoughts and barriers there, athletics, student achievement, finance, staffing, and community. And so those subcommittees worked for 2 months, really looking at solution-focused outcomes for the barriers and questions that were presented. And the outcomes are in the Balanced Calendar Plan, which you can find on the website, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So the subcommittees were busy working. We also had family and staff surveys. We had an initial survey that was really just to gather the general perception and just kind of overall feelings. Where is everybody at with this? So that was our first survey. We also looked at a variety of research studies that are across the board for year-round school balanced calendar options. And we also interviewed district superintendents who currently have a balanced calendar that they've implemented. And one district superintendent, they've had it for 9 years, and another one over 20 years, one in Illinois and one in Indiana. So we also learned about that. So with the timeline, looks like this. So we presented our committee information and timeline to the Board of Education in December. Then in December and January, the Impact Committee met. We also gave progress to the board each month. We had the staff survey in February. We looked at research in February, and then we did our interviews. We have a frequently asked question on the website. We also shared information with the PTO Council in Peoria Public Schools. And then we also organized town hall meetings, which this is one of 4. And we're also open to sharing our information with community groups. So the goal is to update the board again, March 22nd, which is on Monday, and then with the hope that the first meeting in April, the Board of Education will vote on the proposal. So all of the information that I just talked about and much more can be found on the homepage of the Peoria Public School website. At the top, you'll see a red border. You'll see a balanced calendar link. And when you click on that, you will see the plan that I referenced. You will see the updates that have been given to the Board of Education. We also have sample calendars. If you're visual and you kind of see, what does this even look like with this balanced calendar? There is a sample calendar for you to look at. There's frequently asked questions. There's also research study findings. And there's also the preliminary survey results. So all of that information is found on there. And so really what we're up to now is town hall meetings. We'll share once again. We have a current survey going, and we'll share with the Board of Education our update. And then in April, we'll look for a vote.
Okay, thank you very much for that kind of background and history and where we're at, Dr. Wilson. It was really comprehensive, so thank you for that. Before we get started with some of the with some of these questions that our staff submitted, I did want to just put out a couple of plugs, especially in echo kind of what Dr. Wilson said there. So we do have 2 active surveys right now. One is designed for our families in Peoria Public Schools, and the other one's designed for our staff members. Those are both currently active. We're asking everyone to fill those out. It's currently posted on the district homepage. It's also posted on the Balance Calendar website page, and then it's been sent home in several different emails, and then several different other forms, including a flyer that went home with our students that has a little QR code. So there's just a whole lot of places available for parents and staff members to fill out that survey. So we would highly recommend you do that, and then just continue to participate in the feedback process of this through the survey, through these town hall meetings. We have 2 more scheduled next Tuesday and Wednesday, one at Manual High School at 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 23rd, and then one at Peoria High Wednesday the 24th at 6 p.m. And then we're also, we'll see if we need to add more. We will certainly look into look into doing that. So I just wanted to continue to plug that, and then just read, as Dr. Wilson said, all that great information, background, research, et cetera, that is listed on that Balance Calendar tab on the website. It's really, really informative. So thank you very much, and we appreciate all the feedback that have been submitted so far. Okay, I'm going to go into the questions here now, and what I'll do is I'll be reading these questions that have been submitted from our staff members, and then and just kind of going back and forth between our 2 experts here. We have our 2 experts, the 2 co-leads of this Balance Calendar Committee, so I'll just be going back and forth from Josh and Dr. Wilson here. So for the first one, I'll pick on Josh first. First question from this staff member. Have we interviewed people other than Valeska Hinton in other districts in primary, middle, and high school settings that currently have a Balance Calendar to see how they feel about the Balance Calendar? And that's just referring to how Valeska within our own district is on a Balance Calendar and has been for a very, very long time. So how would you answer that, Josh?
Sure. So we have interviewed superintendents from Rock Island and Beardstown, Indiana. Both districts have implemented Balance Calendar for over 20 and 11 years respectively. The calendar has been considered very successful in their communities.
Okay. Thank you there, Josh. Second question here, Dr. Wilson. At board meetings, it's been mentioned that during the breaks, the time would be used to catch up students on learning loss due to the pandemic. Who is going to teach during these breaks when we did not have enough teachers during the regular school year to tutor, and we had to spend a lot of money on outside companies to tutor?
So during that time, we will employ certified and non-certified teachers who wish to earn additional money by tutoring outside the contractual time. We will use grant money to pay for that tutoring.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Josh, this one's for you, and there's a couple questions in this one, I think. Nope, just one question. Sorry about that. So have we considered doing a Balance Calendar as a choice program, implementing it only at a few at-risk schools. And so this staff members is wondering if we're considering just doing it as a choice program instead of a full calendar. Yep.
Right. So, no. From a logistics point of view, this option is not sustainable. The cost of operating and supporting multiple calendars all within one building is just not sustainable.
Okay, perfect. Dr. Wilson, this staff member wants to know, none of the surrounding districts or schools in our conference, and I think they're referring to the Big 12 conference there, that's where our high schools are the conference they participate in, have a balanced calendar. Have we looked at how this will affect our students in extracurricular activities and not giving them a break?
Absolutely. The athletics committee spent a lot of time on just this very topic. And what they discovered is that looking at sports and extracurricular activities for grades 6 through 12, it was determined that practices, contests, and events could be scheduled without conflict if Peoria Public School decides to adopt a balanced calendar.
Thank you. Next question, Josh. Have we thought about the cost of childcare for teachers with children in other districts?
It is the responsibility of the district staff to provide child care for their children as we currently do. Many of our staff members have this situation now. The different schedule was seen as an advantage and value add for current Valeska staff to get more involved in their own children's school during intersessions, as they have previously worked and continue to work within the balanced calendar template.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Wilson, next question here. How will teachers complete higher learning programs that have classes that meet in person during the summer?
Luckily for us, many of the universities are moving to a variety of options for courses beyond the bachelor's degree. There are many options for online courses, as college courses for higher learning programs include nights and weekends as well.
Thank you. Josh, this staff member wants to know, there is learning loss with our current breaks. Why would we extend more breaks throughout the year to cause even more loss than what we see in the summer? Traditional summer school is offered for those that want it. So essentially, they're asking why we would extend more breaks throughout the year.
Right. So the balanced calendar is the same number of days as traditional school calendar. That's 176 days for students and 180 days for teachers. The breaks throughout the academic year provide opportunities for support throughout the year instead of simply relying on one time during the summer.
Okay, perfect. Yep, and that again hits back to just one of those misconceptions that we always try to clear up a little bit, in that there are not more breaks in the balanced calendar template. It's just same amount of break days, same amount of school days, just more evenly spread out throughout the 12 months of a calendar year. Okay. Dr. Wilson, this staff member wants to know, how will you address SEL loss when children don't get to attend camps and other summer opportunities?
So students will be able to engage in camps and summer opportunities throughout the year during intersession instead of relying on summer break as the only option. So in fact, there could be more opportunities for students with the balanced calendar than there currently is.
Okay, thank you. Josh, if the balanced calendar is to recover from COVID deficiency, would the balanced calendar, essentially what this person's asking, if the balanced calendar is in fact approved by the board and implemented to help our kids recover from COVID-19 learning losses, would the balanced calendar only be implemented for a year or two, with the district returning to a traditional calendar after that?
So the answer is no. If adopted, we would continue balanced calendar into the foreseeable future.
Okay, gotcha. So it is not a short-term situation that we're looking at if it is approved and implemented. Next question, Dr. Wilson. Would teachers who agree to work during intersessions be paid at an hourly rate equal to their position on the salary scale?
So teachers will be compensated on the extra duty stipend currently used per the collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you. Josh, this staff member wants to know, how are students and teachers who participate in travel teams during the summer going to be able to participate if school starts in the third week of July, which is when balanced calendar would begin in that part of the summer? This isn't an opportunity that can be, this person's saying this isn't an opportunity that can be moved to intersessions.
So based on the information gathered from the athletics subcommittee, Evenings and weekends were the primary practice and contest schedule utilized for sports teams and would not conflict with the school hours if school starts the third week of July under a balanced calendar.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. And that athletic subcommittee, they did really good work. Those are, that subcommittee was composed of our athletic directors within the district, and many other people involved in athletics. And so it's a really great brain trust. They know everything about. We wanted to leave it to the experts, especially for that piece. So that's what their subcommittee worked on for a couple months, and that's what they were able to come up with in investigating that question.
And Thomas, I thought I would add, in the balanced calendar plan that I referenced, each one of the subcommittees has a section in this plan. So if you're interested in knowing more about athletics, go to the athletics section, and you will see a lot of these questions and concerns, and then solutions that were developed as the work of the subcommittee.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Okay, this one's now for you, Dr. Wilson. Many
Okay.
staff members utilize breaks to make additional income. Will our compensation increase, so this is no longer necessary to have that extra additional income? So essentially, they're just wondering how the compensation will work, the staff member is.
Sure. Teachers will be compensated on the current extra duty stipend per the collective bargaining agreement. There will be many opportunities for staff members to take advantage of extra work during the intersession period if they choose to do so.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wilson. Josh, this staff member is wondering, what are the ideas for enrichment during these enrichment periods during the intersession? So how will this be implemented?
Sure. So intersessions may include full day of enrichment and academic supports for students, in addition to breakfast, lunch, and latchkey opportunities in the afternoon. This could be an excellent opportunity for working parents during the intersession breaks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Josh. So there would be some of those 2 meals and potentially latchkey opportunities as well to make up that whole day. Dr. Wilson, this staff member has a question around students with severe special needs. So this staff member is wondering, I've heard that related services, therapies will be offered to students during school breaks. My students with severe special needs do not do well transitioning to new staff, especially for short periods of time. Who do you intend to work over these breaks to provide these services you are promising the students and their families?
Sure, and we conferred with Dr. Bond, our special ed director, too, as we answered this as well. The answer is we are considering offering ESY, and that stands for Extended School Year, during school breaks for special education students who qualify for these services through the IEP process. If we determine that we will offer this during breaks, it would be for 1 week during each break and staffed by special education staff members qualified in providing these services and interested in working. Also, families of students who qualify will have the choice to accept or decline this opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Josh, this staff member wants to know, if the breaks are not used for rest, are staff expected to work more days? How is that going to work? So this staff member is wondering, are they going to be working extra because of these additional, or because of these more spread out breaks that occur throughout the year?
Sure, and understandable. All staff can make choices how they spend the intersession time and can spend it to work or rest.
Yep, so there will be a choice involved for staff members there.
Correct.
So we just want to make that very clear. Okay, next question, Dr. Wilson. If students need to attend tutoring during breaks, will the district provide transportation? And I think they're referring to the academic supports and enrichment opportunities that we'll be offering at our
For
schools.
sure. Potentially, transportation will be provided for academic supports and enrichment opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you there. So Josh, well, actually, there's multiple questions for
this
this one.
one's
So yeah, we'll
okay.
keep going on that,
All
and
right.
I'll keep sending these to you, Dr. Wilson.
For
So,
sure.
will students needing tutoring be required to give up breaks, and who will be providing instruction then?
So the decision to require attendance during intersession has not been made yet. The instruction will be provided by certified staff.
Okay. And then the last part of this multi-part question, will the instruction for these students be done at the student's home school?
The intersession activities will be in school buildings. It may or may not be in the exact home school.
Okay, yep, perfect, thank you. Okay, we'll give Dr. Wilson a break there after that. We peppered her with a couple questions there. Next one over to Josh here. What has the committee learned from school districts that had a balanced calendar and in return to the traditional calendar?
Sure. So, two large district superintendents, one in Illinois with over 20 years and one in Indiana with 9-year calendar implementations, were interviewed. They both reported the staff and families were very happy with the calendar as it provides flexibility throughout the year for vacation options, reduced summer learning loss, slight increase in attendance, and decrease in discipline referrals, reduced teacher burnout, added years to careers for teachers, and no change to calendar each year as it rolls from year to year. They also partner with community agencies to provide bridge opportunities for students that are staffed with assistance from high school kids in fall and spring and college kids in winter.
Okay, thank you very much, Josh. And that's very good information on what that interview process and what we learned from some other school districts that are in a balanced calendar. Next question, Dr. Wilson, from the staff member: how would the school district support student meals during these breaks throughout the year and the longer breaks throughout the year?
Sure. Breakfast and lunch would be provided for students who participate during the intersession opportunity.
Thank you. Josh, this question is asking from a staff member: would high schools still be on semester schedules with these breaks, or would we return to quarters in the balanced calendar?
Sure. So, high schools' semester schedules would not change. With balanced calendar, there is an equal balance of number of learning days on each semester, whereas with traditional calendar, we currently have an unequal balance with a 13-day difference between the two.
Okay, thank you. So right now, as the way the traditional calendar usually ends up working because of the way we start in mid-August and usually right before Memorial Day weekend, there is a 13-day imbalance between one semester versus the other. So this would actually smooth that out a little bit in the balance and provide more balance, as the title would indicate. Dr. Wilson, next question. Have coaching stipends been thought about and the need for them to be increased based on the need to work during breaks?
The sports season number of days with practice would not need to change. Currently, athletes practice throughout the entire year based on the sports season, so there would not be a change.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wilson. And that's, again, that just kind of illustrating that there's not changes in some of these other things, related to what you would typically imagine, including sports. Similar time frame there. It's our calendar in school that's changing. So, Josh, this is the next one for you. Is the position of summer break in the balanced calendar set in stone if the balanced calendar goes through? So they're essentially asking if that chunk of summer break will continue every year.
Sure. So the proposed balanced calendar starts the academic year during the third week in July and ends the first full week in June.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Josh. Dr. Wilson, next question. When will the academic research about the benefit of a balanced calendar be provided?
So the balanced calendar research study findings are posted on the district website within the balanced calendar link, as I talked about at the very beginning.
Yep, exactly. There's multiple research findings and studies, both from a couple different sources that you're able to peruse, and there's a lot of great information and background that you can find there. Additional question for you here, Dr. Wilson. Is this balanced calendar item really a response to the pandemic, or was it in the works long before? And so can you provide a little history on that?
For sure. I didn't talk too much about that in my introduction. We explored the balanced calendar option in 2017-18 school year, but the recommendation at the end of that study was to investigate the options again when all the buildings were fully air conditioned, because at that time we still had about 6 buildings that did not have air conditioning. The pandemic was the catalyst to start the work again. However, due to ongoing HVAC projects, all buildings will be air conditioned by the start of the 2022 school year, which makes it a perfect time to go ahead and get started.
Okay, perfect. And then last one for you on this multi-part question. So how will lengthening the academic year in 2022 and 2023 help address pandemic learning loss?
Correct. The balanced calendar does not lengthen the academic year. it redistributes the learning time with breaks or intersessions. So it's more evenly distributed as opposed to tiny and larger chunks. Students will still attend 176 days, and the staff, certified staff rather, will work 180 days in both the traditional and balanced, so those do not change.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for shedding some light on that one.
Sure.
Josh, next question from this staff member. What about vacations planned months in advance that are longer than 30 days? There are some students who will go to another country for olive break. Are migrant families being considered? And the 30 days would be, it would be longer than 30 days for that summer break still in a balanced calendar format. So just to clear that up a little bit, it wouldn't be 30 full days in that break between those two. But Josh, can you respond to that?
Sure. By sharing the balanced calendar option a year and a half prior to implementation, this will allow families to plan. We currently already have families that leave during learning time in the traditional calendar.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Dr. Wilson, this staff member wants to know how many extra days off, and they listed some examples like Labor Day, Columbus Day, President's Day. We have not actually had Columbus Day off for quite a few years now, but for those extra days off, will those still be in the schedule? And will that disrupt some of these full 5-day weeks schedules since we're including some longer breaks more throughout the year?
For sure. We will continue to honor national holidays as we've done in the past, and certainly school improvement days within the balanced calendar schedule. And as I talked about a little bit at the beginning, that an example of a balanced calendar for the 22-23 school year is provided on the district website that would really show you laid out how this could look. So that might help.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Josh, next question here from a staff member. Are there any school districts in our area here, so we're talking about, Central Illinois, that have a balanced calendar?
So currently, Valeska Hinton and the Knox Learning Center both follow a balanced calendar in our own district. There are no other school districts in our immediate area that have the balanced calendar.
Yep, that's correct. So, and just again to clarify, there are two of our schools, Valeska Hinton, that's the pre-K in Knoxville Center for Student Success. Those are one of our alternative high school programs. Those are both have been on balanced calendar for many years now and continue to be so. Okay, Dr. Wilson, next question from this staff member. What will be the expectations for those that are not teachers? How will this affect, say, for instance, clerical workers, 10-month and 12-month employees? For example, some may have longer contracts, some such as 190-day contracts. So how would that look?
Sure. So if this is approved, each union will negotiate the impact of the balanced calendar decision and how the same number of days are redistributed across the year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Josh, this question is kind of looking at how they're asking how is the close of one year and the open of the next year working in a balanced calendar? So how does that look when we start end one year and then start another?
Sure. So each school year will close at the beginning of June and open the third week in July. So it's going to be, aside from the change of when it occurs, the opening and closing itself will be much like what we do now.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. Yep. So it'll be, again, to stress, the balanced calendar ends at the beginning of June and then starts back up the third week of July. And if you, and again, we've had a lot of sample calendars posted on that balanced calendar tab on the website for people if you want to visualize it or see how that breaks down on a day-by-day basis or how that looks. Those are available to you to check out there. Okay. Next question for Dr. Wilson here. And this is from a staff member again. Do you have enough teachers who are willing to provide academic support, enrichment opportunities during break times? And luckily, our preliminary survey helped provide some guidance on that for us.
Exactly. We had an initial survey that I referenced earlier, and according to that first survey, we did ask that question actually. We had over 200 certified and non-certified staff members indicate that they would indeed be interested in working during an intersession.
Okay, perfect. Next question, Josh. Could the district please publish their own local data from a longitudinal study of the benefits of the balanced calendar from those students that have attended Valeska Hinton on the balanced calendar in relation to those same age students who attend District 150 Prairie Public Schools on the traditional calendar, and the margin of increased achievement that was documented for the balanced year students. So essentially, they're asking if there's a data there for Valeska, Hinton, because, since we do have them on there on that balanced calendar.
Sure. Most all pre-K students are on a balanced calendar with Peoria Public Schools at Valeska Hinton. So there's really no study comparison. It's just not possible since we don't really have pre-K in any other building to do a direct comparison with.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Josh. Next question for Dr. Wilson. This staff member wants to know if the district and/or, the Balanced Calendar Impact Committee here, because they're kind of leading this work, is the district or committee opposed to the modified calendar, which would start at the beginning of August?
Okay. There is actually an active survey that Thomas talked about at the beginning on our district website going on right now, allowing families and staff to provide feedback regarding their calendar preference. And one of those preferences is, or one of those choices in the survey is a modified calendar for a participant to select.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Josh, next question here is around contracts again from the staff member. How are the contracts going to carry over from one calendar to the other? I.e., if our union makes a 5-year contract under traditional calendar, does it still apply with the new calendar?
So the short answer there is yes, it will continue. The contracts will continue regardless of the calendar that the district adopts.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Next question, Dr. Wilson. How will this work with students who get bused from outside school districts? And essentially, with some of the program offerings and other services, we serve a lot of different students. And because we have some of those resources, sometimes we're serving students outside of either the city limits or outside school districts. So how would that work under a balanced calendar format, Dr. Wilson?
Absolutely. Students from outside districts will follow the Peoria Public School calendar, and that is the practice that they do now. Whether we have balanced or traditional, they always follow Peoria Public Schools calendar.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next question, Josh. On the posted research on the website, are there both pros and cons posted? So essentially, the staff member is wondering, what is the breakdown of the research that we did post for people to kind of look over and draw their own conclusions from?
Sure. So we posted the research study findings on the district's website, so it's available in the same location that the calendars and the plans are located at. In fact, there's research within the plan. But we did not break down pros and cons, allowing families and staff to draw their own conclusion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Josh. Next question, Dr. Wilson. How would the balanced calendar affect administrators' work schedules? If we go to a fully balanced calendar, who will supervise enrichment opportunities, sporting events, activities, etc., while on break? So this is a question from an administrator, just wondering how that would work, principal, assistant principal, etc. How would that look under a balanced calendar, and with the breaks included at maybe potentially some of their buildings?
Sure. They're wondering the same thing that our certified and non-certified are, I'm sure.
Yep.
So administrators will continue with their current employment schedule as far as the number of days that they work. As with the current practice now, a site supervisor will be employed to oversee intercession activities if they happen to occur in your building.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. And then the last question we had here, and I'll send this to you, send this your way, Josh. This comes from a staff member. Has the district worked with other people in the city to help organize and support this process? Who in particular? Park District daycares, what has been their response, and are they on board to assist?
Okay, so the Balanced Calendar Impact Committee and its subcommittees were made up of more than 50 individuals that represented a variety of stakeholders. The Park District, several child care, daycare, and other youth camp providers were involved in those subcommittees. They have said they will adjust to our schedule as they currently do right now, and they are on board to collaborate and problem solve if a change in calendar is approved.
Okay, yep, and I can speak to that definitely as being part of this process and being on some of those subcommittees that we did have a lot of local organizations that do offer those services that were willing to be on board with this from the beginning and work through some of this, problem solve already, and B, also expressed, willingness to continue down that path if this were to be approved. So again, thank you for all these questions were very, very informative. I thought they were great ones from our staff to kind of help, again, just bring more information to the table as we're leading up and going through this process. We did have a couple of questions in the chat that I think we can just address real quick. One of them was just, were the interviewed school districts or school district we reached out to on modified or full balance calendar? And I think the answer is both on those. We did reach out to both to really cast a wide net and get a lot of different feedback on there. So we can answer that. And then the other one here that I thought was interesting, I think we could help a little bit, is at one point I was hearing June 13th would be the end date on a balance calendar if that calendar was started. Is this still the case? And what I wanted to do was just kind of bring up Valeska Hinton's calendar for this year, this current year, which is a balance calendar, just to kind of look at what that would look like specifically. So for this year, the 2021 school year, Valeska Hinton, the staff members started on, let's see here, Monday, July 20th. That was their first day, and they have 2 teacher institutes. The students started on Wednesday, July 22nd, so that was the first day of school for students. I remember it well. It was a very fun to have students back in the building during the after we were closed down there at the start of the pandemic. And then the end of the calendar, the last day of school this year for Valeska Hinton students will be Tuesday, June 8th. So it's June 8th, not June 13th as the person asking was asking. So June 8th would be the last day for students, and the very next day, June 9th, would be the last day for staff. So that's kind of just a
If I could interject,
Yeah.
if you're looking at the calendars, at the end of the school year, we always have to provide additional days if snow days are used.
Yep.
So you will see on the calendar, I believe on the sample calendar, the last day is June 7th. But you will see some additional days that I think take it out to June 13th. And those are 5 days at the end if snow days or emergency days were used. Now, we have had the remote, I'm using the wrong terminology, but we've done remote learning for the school days. So in the past couple of years, we've not had to use our emergency days, but those have to be included in the calendar. So when they're looking at the calendar, you're going to see 2 end dates. You're going to see the intended last day of school and a last day of school if any emergency days are used. So that's probably what the staff member is seeing.
That's a really good point. Yeah, we just have to build that into the calendar in case of, exactly as you put out there, in case of emergency. So that could be where that misconception comes up for a little bit. But when you're looking at the calendars, that's what it looks like. So anyways, that's it from the chat. I'm thankful very much for those questions. They were really good additional questions. And that basically wraps it up for us today. Again, I just want to reiterate, please continue to participate in this process. We love the feedback. It makes this whole decision-making process easier for everyone when we get a lot of feedback from our stakeholders. So keep filling out the survey if you have not done so already. And keep sending questions if you have them, or attend our town halls that are coming up. So thank you, Dr. Wilson and Josh, for joining us tonight and having very enlightening questions or answers to these questions. So thank you again for that, and we'll see you guys later. Thank you very much. Have a good one.